Hi, baby boomer fans. We are Jackie and Janine, the Pfeiffer sisters, and love to talk about the 1950s, inviting you to reminisce with us as we explore experiences of that decade.
We chronicled the distinct memories of our childhood in our book, While the Windmill Watched, a slice of rural America in the 1950s, which takes you on a notably historic journey through that often forgotten decade. We also want to hear about your experiences during the 1950s. We will feature guests whose special stories of that decade will bring to mind magical moments of reflection, some with tears, some with smiles, but above all, a good dose of laughter.
We would like you to chat with us as we bring to mind the sights and sounds so familiar to that time in history. Grab your favorite malt or Green River. Make sure you are wide awake and get ready to be inspired about the 1950s. Welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat. Hello, everybody. Isn't it fun to be in the holiday season? And we think because the holiday season is always so special in the realm of music. My goodness, just think of all the wonderful Christmas carols that are and really secular music songs too that are played on the radio, or we listen to them on the internet, or I listen to them a lot when I'm baking, Jackie, and I'm baking all the time. So, there's a lot of Christmas music that's ongoing in our home. And these next few weeks until we get to the end of the year, we want to salute holiday music and Christmas music, which just makes the season so special. And so this week, one of our upcoming guests is so musically gifted. But before we get to introduce her, Jackie, can you tell us a little bit about that book in the upper right-hand corner?
You bet. Guests, please peruse the screen in front of you. And I'd like to point out a couple of things. First of all, that banner that is running across the bottom of your screen, www.whilethewindmillwatch.com. We ask you to go there to get all sorts of information about While the Windmill Watched, the little book that we have written, the authors, the vendors, and about the 1950s Fun Chat. Also, take a look on the upper right hand of your screen. You'll see a beautiful North Dakota sunset that wraps around our book with the silhouette of a windmill and silhouette of two little girls. And you probably can guess who they are to represent. We also want you to note that down in the bottom of that book, there's a little white spot, and you may not be able to read it too well, but it is something that's very important that happened with our book this year. It won the National Independent Press Award in the regional nonfiction category as a distinguished favorite. So we are really happy to have that on the front of our cover. So without further ado, they say, let's go introduce our guest. Our guest is Linda Colman, who was born in 1946 into a family with one brother, a mom and a dad, in Spokane, Washington, where she attained her undergrad education before obtaining a degree in elementary education, PE, along with many music credits at Eastern Washington University in Cheney, Washington. Now, Linda is a retired elementary PE teacher. She has been married to George for 53 wonderful years. They have 2 children and 3 grandchildren, and today the Colmans reside near Kettle Falls, Washington. Now, Linda has pared down her many musical activities to 3, which are still close to her heart, as a director for several handbell choirs, playing the clarinet in the Woodland Theater Band, and the musical director in her church, which includes a 10-member praise team. So, Linda, welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat.
Thank you.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
So, since music is the central theme of this chat, let's begin by hearing how your family influenced your musical memories of the 1950s.
Well, I just remember music all the time. I mean, when before I got into music, my aunt had a really cool old piano that we have now, and she played it a lot when we'd go visit her at Lake Chelan, and everybody would stand around and sing familiar songs and some German songs and stuff. And so we'd do that. And then my dad played the ukulele, and he kind of taught me how to do that, but he was always singing songs. He could remember the lyrics to everything. And so I learned a bunch of just fun songs, that he learned when he grew up. So it was probably in the 1930s and stuff like that. And then he played the accordion. So I'd listen to him do that. And then later he played the keyboard. And in fact, when I went to visit him, when he was nearly 100 and going blind, he'd play the keyboard and I'd play my clarinet along with him. So
neat.
Done a lot of music. We watched music stuff on TV when we finally got a TV. Lawrence Welk. I loved Lawrence Welk. And, Mitch Miller, he goes like, and then the little bouncing ball. I never missed that. We went to musicals in the theater, a movie theater. So I don't know. I did music all the time. It was around me. Let's put it that way.
Right. So music has been important in your life at all times, evidently. Yeah. And good. Janine, were you going to ask something? Sorry, I interrupted.
Yes, in those times when you were growing up in the 50s, there was so much music surrounding you. But can you particularly remember anything special about the holidays in music?
Well, we had a record player, obviously, because that's what we had, and we had a bunch of long play records with music on them, and so we'd put them on and play them all day long. I do definitely remember that. And then when I got older and started playing the clarinet, well, then of course I was playing Jingle Bells and whatever I got to learn. So I did that. And then another thing is I love those holiday movies like White Christmas and all those.
Oh yes.
I loved all the songs. I mean, it was so much fun to listen to them. So
yes. We love that.
When you think of holiday music, what comes to mind? Whether secular or sacred or a little bit of both?
Well, now I'd say sacred does, but when I was growing up, I just remembered, Silent Night and all that stuff. We'd sing carols in church for sure, but I just remember, more secular, chestnuts roasting on an open fire, and it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and Bing Crosby singing it, and all those ones that came out of some of those movies. I'd say I remember that more. I sat on Santa Claus's lap one time when I wasn't very old, and he asked me if I wanted to sing him a song. And I think he was planning on a Christmas song, but I sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
I love it.
It was pretty funny. I actually have that record still, a little tiny
45
that my parents bought or whatever.
That is so funny. Well, is there anything that you can recall in the holiday music line that was associated with church or with Sunday school or any special music performances in church?
Well, they didn't really have musicals in the church that I went to. We certainly did later, but when in the 1950s, I just remember during the Christmas season, we got to sing all the Christmas carols, and I feel like I know a lot of them. Well, I don't really know the words. I don't pay attention to words. I pay attention to notes, but I know the melodies of a lot of carols that some people are not very familiar with, but that could be too, because I'm always looking for Christmas carols that get forgotten.
Yes. Yes. Were there ever any old English type carols that were sung or that were played in your area? And I can't.
Well,
think of any.
Like Coventry Carol. I would think of, but I don't know if I really remember that when I was a kid. I certainly do now, but when I was I just knew the basic ones. I mean, the ones that everybody thinks of.
Sure.
O come all ye faithful, and angels we have heard on high, and joy to the world, and O Tannenbaum, which I learned to sing in German and stuff like that.
Sure.
We sang, and we did sing at home. And when we'd get together with our family, we'd sing Christmas carols more than we wouldn't sing secular songs. We sang Christmas carols.
Yes.
I really remember O Tannenbaum, though. I forgot about that. I thought I was pretty cool that I could sing it in German.
Do you recall why you chose to focus on the clarinet?
Well, I wanted to try a few things. I really liked musicals, and I thought I wanted to dance. I wanted to be a dancer because I loved watching them dance. And I tried tap dancing, and I wasn't like horrible at it, but I don't know, I didn't stick with it. And I tried baton twirling and didn't stick with it. But in the 5th grade was when the All City Band program in Spokane, which was excellent, got kids started in band. And they'd come and bring all these different instruments, and then they'd say, well, I think you could play this instrument or that one. They thought I should play the trombone because I had big lips. I don't know where they got that, but I didn't really want to play the trombone. So I got to pick what I wanted to play. And so I chose the clarinet. And boy, once you're in All City Band, it was every Saturday we would have band. They'd come to the schools, we would have band, and I loved it. And man, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I'd like look forward to coming home so I could practice. I was like, great.
Wow,
good for you.
Awesome.
They had a strong program during the summer. So all summer long, I went to band. So that's how Spokane City Schools got such good musicians, because we were playing constantly from 5th grade on. And then I had a friendly audience, my parents and my family. So of course I would play, and they'd go, oh, that's beautiful, whether it was or not.
Were you in a concert band and a marching band?
Well, I was the all city bands that were grade school were concert bands. Then when I got into, I wasn't in a marching band until I got into high school. And then I was in the marching band the whole time. We got to do those cool formations and stuff. Yeah. And then I was in marching band at Eastern Washington University also. That was really fun.
Is it hard to learn those routines when you're trying to focus on the music, and yet you have to get your feet working in the right direction too?
I don't remember that I thought they were hard. They would seem hard to me now, but they didn't seem hard then. I just thought it was a total kick in the pants. Make these shapes and know that we were, making something like that. And we would work hard to do it. I mean, we had to practice a lot, but and I liked to march. I thought it was fun. And
I wonder if your dance training, early dance training, somehow helped you with that. Maybe
what you need is a good sense of rhythm.
Yes.
You're going to march, right. And I had a good sense of rhythm. I can't say I was a wonderful dancer. I mean, I would dance around, but I wasn't uncoordinated. So I guess I might've been okay. And maybe I should have been a dancer, but I ended up being a musician instead.
Well, watching Lawrence Welk, would you dance along with that show?
I think I did a little bit, but I was more interested in the players in the orchestra. I just loved to watch them, and I had my favorites. And then I liked to sing. I like the Lennon sisters. How could you forget the Lennon sisters? And
lovely
Bobby and what is
Sissy.
her name?
Her name is Sissy.
Bobby and Sissy. And it was just fun to, I don't know, I sang along with them. We never missed it, but I just loved the guys in the band, In fact, Myron Florin came to Shadle Park High School as part of a pep band. Then
neat.
That was cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wonder what ever happened to his accordion. Is it in a museum somewhere or a family?
I've never heard about his recording.
No.
I don't know what happened to Myron Florin, really.
No.
I don't know. And he probably had more than one, I bet you.
Sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
I may be wrong on that, but
Well,
Are you able to still watch those programs on PBS?
I haven't for a long time. I've watched them in the, within the
Mhm.
last 10 years.
Mhm.
So
But-
since we've been talking about music education and music, in your opinion, what are some of the benefits of musical education?
Well, one thing I would say for sure is that if you learn to do something musical, singing, or definitely playing an instrument, you learn a kind of discipline that, I mean, you can learn discipline other places, but it is an excellent way to learn discipline because you're just not going to get better if you don't practice. And I had a pretty strong desire. I guess I'm kind of ham. I wanted to be good. Well, the way you're good is you practice all the time. And so I just feel that really helps a person learn that. And it's also good because if you do music education, I mean, it's good for your brain. It's just plain good for your brain. And playing a musical instrument is good for coordination and things like that. I didn't play video games. I played the clarinet. So I really feel that. And then the fact that you learn to be a part of something. I mean, if you're in a band, I guess if you did solos all the time, you wouldn't. But in a band or in a group of any kind, you learn you are part of the whole, and you don't have to be top dog, although I wanted to be. But you don't have to be, because when you get done making a presentation, you just feel like you've accomplished something with a group. It was really fun. I got to be in like our all city bands were big, and they had a beginning band and then an advanced beginner and then an intermediate and advanced intermediate. And those bands were like, I don't know, some of them were 90 kids. And so it was very neat to be a part of something bigger, and you learn that camaraderie with music. But I know it helps your brain. I just know it does. And it helped math really helped me read rhythm. I feel like I can read any rhythm. I was not a math genius, but it certainly did help me learn rhythm. It's just like learning another language. So I know that's good for you too.
Yeah. Excellent points, Linda. Excellent. It's great information to know, especially for people who might be watching who have children or little children or grandchildren who are considering playing an instrument. What would you suggest to them? How do they go about making that selection?
I would expose them to some different kinds of instruments. I mean, like piano, like my daughter learned to play piano because we had one. She sat down and started playing. And I thought, whoa, she can harmonize even at 5 years old, So sometimes you learn by having it available for them. But if you don't, then make it available. I mean, like things like having drums, even though it's loud, because some kids just have such an innate sense of rhythm. And if they get a chance to do something rhythmic, and take them to concerts, take them to things that they get to see the instrument and see that, hey, those guys look like they're having a good time, I would say that, or watch something musical. I got a chance to, I really think Lawrence Welk just did a lot because I just loved it. And I wanted to be in something like that, So,
Yes. Yes. Did you, as an adult then, or even as a young adult, did you ever aspire to want to audition for the Lawrence Welk Show?
No, it never even entered my mind. I guess I was too busy doing my other stuff. I mean, no, I knew it would be fun to do it. And I thought it'd be, every time I heard all those songs that they played in musicals, I thought, oh man, I'd love to play in that whenever I heard something. But I didn't do that because I had my own thing. I mean, I got to be in a lot of bands. And, I was thinking another real good value. Every kid needs something they're good at. And lots of times music can be it.
Yes.
You just need one thing. And music is an opportunity to feel an extreme sense of accomplishment. And then when you start performing, it gives you a lot of humility when you make mistakes in front of everybody.
Well, that applause is pretty neat to hear.
It is, it is. I mean, and there's no doubt it's a good outlet for people that like to be noticed. I mean, like my daughter sang and she loved it, but that was a good outlet for her because she liked to be in the limelight. So
sure.
Most
people, I would think.
And I guess I do.
She's your daughter.
Well, think of too the opportunity to learn how to memorize. That I know Jackie points that out in the book that she was very, and I too, grateful for the opportunity to learn how to memorize music because
we had to memorize a ton. I remember memorizing poems, and I had to remember all my solos that I played for adjudication. Every one of them. I so remember that. I forgot all about that memorization thing. And I didn't mind memorizing then, I mean, because for one thing, it is easier to memorize when you're younger than
But if you have memorized the Gettysburg Address, you and I could probably say that together right now.
Well,
but we won't.
Parts of it. You're right. I mean, I could. And like, I remember a poem that my high school teacher had us memorize, and I can still say parts of it, but I don't. Go ahead.
Have you ever written music, Linda?
I had to, for a class in high school, we had to write a 16 bar chorale. And then this was before copy machines or anything. And so I had to use ditto or, carbon paper. Remember carbon paper?
Right.
I had to write out. I had to compose it and then write it out for our 108-piece band and then direct it.
What a job.
It was like a college level class in high school.
Right.
I did. I mean, I had a good friend who played the piano, so that helped to hear it because I knew theory wise how to make the chords, but I didn't know if it was going to sound any good or not. But I haven't really aspired to write music. I like to read music, and I feel like I can about read anything you put in front of me, but I am not good at, which I'd like to be at, improv, like a clarinet player could be or something. But I guess, and a lot of people play by ear. I just don't. I was classically trained, and give it to me in a written page and I can play it, and I can go off that page a little, but I need something to start with. And I just have never tried to come up with it out of my head.
You are so involved as a director of handbell choirs nowadays.
Fun.
Tell us about that experience. I can tell it brings you joy.
Well, it's just, it was a long time ago when I went to Christian music, the arts, I guess it was an arts type workshop every summer. And they always had handbells there. And so I thought handbells were the coolest thing I ever saw. And I thought, I want to do that, you know, and I got like roped into doing a duet before I even knew how to play handbells hardly. But I was hooked after I tried it just once. And so I came back to our church and I said, I want to have a handbell. I want to get a handbell choir started. And so I knew the director of the handbell choir in Spokane. So I asked him to come up and give us a concert, and wham, bang, everybody said, yeah, we'll donate to that. And it didn't take us very long to get a 2-octave handbell, the money for a 2-octave handbell group. And then it was, when we first started out, it was the blind leading the blind. I don't know if I really knew what I was doing. I'd never directed before in my life. But I did. And I learned, and then we just all learned together, you know, and
how does someone learn to play the handbells?
Well, I mean, you got to have some basic instruction, like, you know, what the motion is. And then you learn it's pretty kinesthetic. I mean, you have to learn what you have to do. Just like trombone, anything, you learn the kinesthetics of it, and then you just start trying it. And you know, and learning how to stop it, learning how to do it quickly if you've got fast notes. And I already knew the rhythm, how to do rhythm, so was just translating that into bells. And then bells, more than almost any group, you are so dependent on each other that it's scary. Because if the person beside you goofs up in a little run like da 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 da, and they're not there, you know, or you're playing a song and you're the only one that has that note. And so if you don't play that note, something's missing. Whereas in a group, if you don't play a note, nobody notices.
But to begin with, you're only responsible for 2 notes. So that is a help.
Oh, well, heck, yes.
So maybe you're just responsible for the
one in one hand, one in the other.
Yeah. And then you get further on and you play 4 bells.
Yeah.
And then you
pick them up and put them down. And
yeah.
But have you ever had any people who want to be in the handbell choir who, I mean, have such desire but just don't have rhythm? and how do you work with those folks?
Well, I try to teach them music. I try to teach them about the beat. I really try to teach rhythm to everybody, that, I mean, and how to read music and stuff. It just didn't make sense to a couple people that, and they stuck with it for a while, or they couldn't get the kinesthetics of it either, or kind of putting the two together. And kind of on their own, they decide that maybe they should quit. I've never asked anybody to quit, you know, but I mean, sooner or later they figure out that they're being pretty darn unsuccessful and they're dragging everybody down. And some people have learned. I mean, I didn't think they were ever going to be a bell player, and they weren't too bad, you know.
Do you find that men and women have a different way of learning an instrument?
Well, they probably do. We didn't have as many men at all in bells. Yeah, I remember the men that we had in bells, and the whole finesse of what you'd have to do kind of went over their heads. And I had a lot of people in bells that started out that just didn't know anything. They didn't know what that little black circle with this tail on it. They didn't know anything. And they learned kind of, you know, they learned what they had to learn. And I think some of the men especially learned just by hearing. They knew, oh, that's where I'm supposed to play this note, you know. But
do you give most of the bass clef bells, is there such a thing, to men or to a bigger framed woman?
Stronger. Yeah, stronger. Like I love to play bass bells. I used to
I do too.
do it all the time, but in most handbell choirs, you'll find that the men are playing the really big ones, but women can do it. And we haven't had that many men that stick with us and do it. We had one guy that stayed with us and he played the lowest bells because a couple of them are quite heavy, but you ring it in a slightly different way. But yeah, you need a stronger woman, you know. And like we had one gal that was young and she lifted weights all the time, and man, she could have played the very biggest bell.
Maybe all of them.
Yeah, she was very able to play the big bells, and she didn't get tired. And when I was lifting weights, man, I could play any bell. So
When I would assume that during the holiday season, you have more opportunities to perform with the handbell choir. Would that be correct? And if so, where do you play?
Well, we have. I mean, we played at church programs. We have played at I don't know, a couple. Sometimes we played at. Did the Bells ever play up at Keller House? I can't remember. I don't think they did, but
we could.
We go. I mean, we make opportunities to play. We've played the handbells have played in a local natural food store that had wine tasting, and we played during the holidays. We were like the background music to nice of vino. And
in the summertime, the farmers market, we played there.
Right, we do. But she was, thinking about Christmas
holiday.
We always do play at nursing homes and retirement homes. I mean, there are as many as we have in Colville because they love it. I mean, handbells is a wonderful thing for older people because it's so visual. In fact, some of them hold their ears. Because it's too loud.
Do you ever let any of the residents play?
We have put it in their hands, showed them how it works. They're real interested in it, we've done that more than once. And we've played, the main place is like that. And then we play in church for preludes and things like that too. We've put on concerts, but as far as the holidays go, I mean, I just make sure that we play at the nursing homes because they want to hear them. They just want to hear these familiar songs. And
do they sing along?
They do. They absolutely do. It's always a good time when they recognize a song, right?
Very much so. Have you any of your students or your or your members, I should say, in your handbell choir, have they gone on to create handbell choirs elsewhere?
Well, Kay Brightman, right? I mean,
or Sue.
Yeah, but see, she didn't start out in mine.
Oh,
she was already playing bells and then came in. But one person that started bells and I played with her musically other ways, but in this handbell choir, then she has a very good handbell choir in a retirement center in Spokane. She's a musical genius is what she is. So but otherwise, no, because a lot of us are, I don't know if they move away, they don't take the idea of handbells with them, but we haven't really had all that many people move away that were in the handbell choir. They've just decided, I can't make that commitment, or they passed away. And so maybe they're playing handbells in heaven.
There's also the cost too. You bells, and they're quite expensive.
They're very expensive. Yeah.
Could you have one person solo in the handbell?
Yeah. It's a different skill. I mean, you have them all out there and you got to put play them, put them down, pick them up, and make it
Oh.
smooth. And we have somebody in our group that does solos. She used to anyway,
Mhm.
and duets or something like that. But no, there are people that are really good at solos.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Linda, our guest viewers, our guest today has been Linda Colman from Kettle Falls, Washington, an excellent musician. And you can tell from listening to her what enthusiasm she has for music and for
Mhm.
her education that she has and her desire to play clarinet and to be handbell choir directors. And so we're just so thankful that you have joined us today, Linda, and
Thank
shared you're welcome, shared your life in music, and especially now during the holiday season as we turn on the radio or the computer, or maybe even start singing a tune, just a Christmas tune, because we're in the musical season. And Linda, two questions I always like to ask our guests. One is, was there anything from the 1950s, and I'm going to lean more in the musical aspect of it, that really has influenced you as an adult?
I think the fact that I found the fact that I could play music, that I enjoyed it, and that I wanted to share it.
Mm-hmm.
And that got started in the 1950s, for absolutely sure. I feel very strongly that All City Band just really shaped me and a whole bunch of kids, and it gave me a passion for music, and I love to play music for other people. And I know that getting that education in the 50s, when we could felt free to go around, and we felt safe walking all the way across town to go play at that, and then walk all over. And it was just a good, fun thing. But I definitely got that started in the 1950s.
Mhm.
Good. And is there anything special that stands out to you in the 1950s that was fun?
Geez, there were lots of fun things in the 1950s. I had a blast playing with my brother. I mean, we would, we'd ride bikes around. We felt safe.
Yes.
You felt safe. I mean, we would check in with our parents, but we in the neighborhood, and we would play with the neighbor kids and ride our bikes and play baseball out in the back. We just had a good time playing and being a part of a family and a neighborhood. And that was it was very fun. I totally enjoyed being a kid in the 1950s. Did fun things, I think.
Mhm. Yes.
Hey.
So many people share that same feeling about that decade of the 1950s. We are so blessed to have been able to live in that time.
Absolutely. Well, even the songs were a little more innocent. I mean, like One-Eyed, One-Eared, Purple People, Purple
Yeah.
People.
Flying
Some of
Purple
the
People Eater.
1950 songs were just hilarious.
Yes. Yes. Or the bikini, the
the
Polka dot
tiny,
bikini.
itsy bitsy,
Teeny weeny
teeny weeny
yellow
polka dot
bikini.
bikini. But there were just tons. Ahab, the Arab, remember
Yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah.
They were just funny, they were just fun. They were innocent in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And even the love songs were
silly songs a lot of times.
yes,
Just
silly songs, and it was a fun time for music. I liked it.
Good. Linda, thanks so much for being our guest today. This has been exciting to be able to share your memories with
Fun to
you
talk about it.
and
Yeah.
your special love for music. So guests, viewers rather, next time we will be back with another guest who is just so blessed musically also. And during this holiday season, we really take a lot of joy in bringing to mind about all the inspiration that music brought to us in the 1950s, and especially during the holiday time. So until next time, we hope that you remember some things about the 1950s and the holiday music, the Christmas music. Maybe you listened to music as you were shopping in a grocery store, or as you walk by on the sidewalk of a department store. There was might have been music playing, and who knows, so many different ways that music can touch and a human psyche and bring back those wonderful warm memories. And that's what I have of the especially of the holiday season of the 1950s. And Jackie, would you share that as well, that is very memorable to you?
Indeed. Yeah. But before we go, a little bit of business.
Yes.
Our guests, our viewers, we would really appreciate it if you would click that red subscribe button and the blue thumbs up button, and tell your friends, even your relatives, about the 1950s Fun Chat. Until then,